Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to head out to the candy store to find as much candy as we can, as long as it's associated with astronomy. I've returned from the candy store and let's see what I found. First of all, living in San Anselmo, you should find this interesting. Jelly Belly Star Wars Galaxy Mix. It says, the perfect gift for your galactic adventures. All right, galaxies are vast islands of stars, typically about 400 billion stars per galaxy, and it's estimated that there are as many as 400 billion galaxies in our universe. That's pretty big. And you know what the neat thing about these jelly beans are? They're all really, really twinkly. Out of those 400 billion galaxies, what's the name of our galaxy, the galaxy that we live in? Milky Way. That's the name of our galaxy, and this is actually kind of a twofer because this is Milky Way midnight, and midnight, astronomical midnight, is actually a term. Astronomical midnight differs from standard midnight, which is at 12. We'll talk more about that in a future video. Starburst. Sometimes stars do explode in novas and supernovas, and they leave behind something called a planetary nebula, a vast glowing cloud of dust, out of which new baby stars form and are born. Isn't that incredible? So a supernova will create a planetary nebula, and that nebula will produce more stars. Star bar, that's pretty much self-explanatory. But what is the closest star to us? It's not Proxima Centauri, as most people would say. The closest star to us is actually our sun. These are sun cups. They're like peanut butter cups, except they've got sunflower seed butter inside them rather than peanut butter. And it says it's allergy safe, school safe, so I'll have to remember to bring some of these to school once the COVID pandemic is over. Oh yeah, and also I'll put the solar filter on the Questar telescope here, and we can look at some sunspots. We have pictures right here of sunspots for you. The Fig Newton. There was a very famous scientist, in fact, the greatest scientist in history, named Isaac Newton. Now, the Fig Newton is actually named after the town of Newton, Massachusetts. But for the purpose of this video, we can pretend that the Fig Newton was named after Isaac Newton. Now, there was a very, very famous, very handsome movie actor called Paul Newman. And Paul Newman became insanely jealous of the success that Isaac Newton enjoyed. And he wanted to cash in on a little bit himself. So he created his own snack treat called Fig Newmans rather than the Fig Newton. And you see he actually put a picture of himself on the label. Talk about shameless promotion. What did Isaac Newton ever do that made him so special? Well, one of the things is he described how the Earth's moon orbits the Earth, or how an artificial Earth satellite orbits the Earth. He was the first person to explain it and explain how to do it, which was pretty good. And this right here is orbit chewing gum. We have eclipse, and it looks like that looks kind of like a solar eclipse to me, because it looks like that's the moon in the center and the rays of the sun coming out. But there are lunar eclipses, there are solar eclipses, and within that, there are many different variations of eclipses. And in future videos, once again, we're going to go into more of a conversation about that. Luna, basically just another name for the moon. And this is Luna s'mores flavor, which sounds quite good. Now, I saw a movie once about a boy who was born on Mars. And for the first time in his life, he comes to Earth. Being on Earth, he's a little bit homesick for his home planet. And so, one of the things that he eats to remind himself of home is a Mars bar. Perhaps the first astronaut to land on Mars should bring one of these along and just commemorate the event by eating a Mars bar once she's there. This I remember from when I was a kid, and I thought it was stupid back then, and I even think it's stupid now. It's called an Astropop. Basically what it is a 3 different flavored lollipop. It's supposed to look like a 3-stage rocket, but actually it's always looked like a dagger to me. So there was a very famous movie director named Alfred Hitchcock. And I'm sure Alfred Hitchcock would have no problem whatsoever crafting a movie about a crazed psychopath who ran around town with an Astropop, stabbing people with it. I mean, look at this thing. You could put out a man's eye with that. It's crazy. Tycho chocolate, 2.5 ounces for $5. This stuff better be really good. I mean, it's like caviar or something. Anyway, the spelling is slightly different, but we can pretend that it was named for the famous Danish astronomer Tycho Brahe, who was really quite remarkable and even has his own crater on the moon right over there. Now, what happened was Tycho Brahe had a trained pet moose, and this moose was so loyal that it followed him around like a loyal dog. But one evening, the moose drank too much alcohol at a party, and really I have no idea how much alcohol a moose has to drink to get drunk. But the moose became quite drunk and fell down a flight of stairs and died. So the moral of the story is, if you have a pet moose, don't let him get drunk at parties, particularly not when there are stairs around. Maybe a little bit of a stretch, but we'll go for it anyway. James Lick, of course, ended up paying for the Lick Observatory on Mount Hamilton, a really wonderful facility, and I love going up there. But prior to the gold rush in California, he came to San Francisco, and he was the first person in San Francisco to sell chocolate. And he discovered that the San Franciscans had a voracious appetite for chocolate. The chocolate he sold was Ghirardelli chocolate, and he sold so much chocolate that he convinced his good friend Domingo Ghirardelli to come and join him in San Francisco and make chocolate there. The first mass market snack food with an astronomical tie-in was this, the moon pie, Chattanooga, Tennessee, 1917, over 100 years old. So this is the first time that there was a mass market snack food with an astronomical name. Now, this box of 6 mini moon pies only cost me $1, which works out between 16 and 17 cents per moon pie. A whole lot cheaper than the Tycho chocolate. Did I miss any? Are there any that you can think of that I didn't get? The problem I face now is I've got all of this stuff to eat, and well, the expiration date on most of it's at least a year in advance, so I think I might be able to take some of it on the travels we're going to be making and eat it at amazing different locations. If I missed any other space-themed candy, leave a comment below and tell me what it was. You're watching San Anselmo Space Science Odyssey Candy Store Challenge. If you want to see more of this channel, just come on by, stop by anytime you like. I'll always try to have fresh content.